Hello and welcome to episode 165 of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. In today's episode, we're asking the question, what on earth is Web 3.0? It is a skeptic's guide to Web 3.0. We're going to try and demystify all those jargon terms and see whether this is something that we should be embracing as business owners, as marketers, or is it basically like the Emperor's new clothes? Let's get on with it now.
Welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Helping you level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video.
Optimize your mindset and communication and increase your confidence in front of the camera.
Get confident with the tech and gear.
And get confident with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Well, hello. Ian Anderson Gray here. This is the Confident Live Marketing Show. And in today's episode, we're going to get stuck into Web 3.0. You might not even know what that is. I didn't really know until relatively recently. There's only so much that we can delve into in today's episode. I don't know how well I'm going to do, but I'm going to try my best. But yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today. I've been playing around with loads of really cool things recently. I've been playing around with countdown timers. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of countdown timers, but if you missed that, I've been putting little visualizers on the screen and cool things, which is great. The problem I've got with countdown timers is that it's not so great for the repurposing. So if you're watching the replay, you've got that kind of countdown-y bit that you have to put up with and fast forward through. Then, yes, okay, you can trim that off on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. But with YouTube, you then lose the replay chat if you cut that bit out. So I don't know. I'd love to know from you what you think about that because I kind of have a love-hate relationship with countdown timers. So that's one thing I've been playing around with. The other thing are voice effects. Now, there's quite a few apps out there that can change your voice but they seem to be only available for PC. So I've been playing around with what can be available on Mac. Now I've got some cool effects that I've got in terms of camera things. So I've got a little zoom effect, black and white. So if you listen to the podcast, just imagine this is going to zoom in now. So I've got things like that, but I wanted to see how can I change my voice into like a low voice or a high voice just at the click of a button. And so if you're interested in this, I'll show you how to do this another time, but it uses a tool called Audio Hijack, and they've just released a new version that does some cool things. So I can do like this.
This is the voice of death.
So I'll just click the button, say low voice, and I can also sound like a chipmunk.
Hello, my name is Ian Anderson Gray and welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Podcast.
So I'm not sure I'm going to use those very often, but anyway, it's a lot of fun. So let's see who we got watching live. We've got Katie Simpson saying, good morning. Looking forward to seeing you, Katie, next week. It's going to be fun. And Carl says, can only do your best, Sir Ian. Yeah, that's all I'm going to do. Katie says, I've got no idea about any of the subject today. I'm a complete blank about it. Well, look, that's it's like me 3 weeks ago. So I'm glad you find that fun. I think it's time to get on with it. So let's get on with Web 3.0. And so I'm so organized today. I've actually got some slides to show. Now, Web 3.0, you might even not know what Web 1.0 or Web 2.0 is. So Web 1.0 is when the World Wide Web was originally created. It was just basically for storing information. So Web 1.0 is just the early bits of the World Wide Web. Tim Berners-Lee invented it, and so it's just text and images on the screen, and we could read that, but sometimes we could write, but it was mainly reading. Whereas Web 2.0, and I remember going to a conference when they were talking about Web 2.0, it's really just it was a kind of a phrase that was coined by lots of developers, and it was a way of us interacting and changing with the web. Think about social media. Think about Facebook. Facebook allows us to post our status updates and upload images, and we get control over what we see on the internet. So that was Web 2.0. Now, Web 3.0 is just a term for lots of different types of technology that are coming together, such as the metaverse and cryptocurrency coming together to really revolutionize and change what we have on the web. So there's lots of jargon involved, and that is one of the really annoying things about all of this. Like, there's so much jargon that can put so many of us off, and it put me off because I hate jargon. So the first thing that we need to talk about is mindset, because we're going to go on this journey, and it's going to be very, very hard for many of us to embrace Web 3.0. So we need to think about the mindset first. So the first thing is, well, why is this important? And in a way, we can't really answer that until we kind of understand what Web 3.0 is. And it's kind of like the Matrix. Morpheus says, unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. They need to experience it for themselves. And kind of Web 3.0 is a little bit like that. In order to kind of answer that question, you kind of need to understand everything and experience it first. So I will be answering that question a little bit today, but I hope that in future weeks I'm going to be talking about this a little bit more. And actually, I forgot to say that on next episode, which is Thursday if you're watching live, or it is next Friday if you're listening, I've got Mitch Jackson on the show. He is a lawyer based on the west coast of the USA, and he is going to talk to us about Web 3.0 and the Metaverse. So if you have no idea what the Metaverse is, this is not anything to do with Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg is wanting everyone to think that the Metaverse is to do with Facebook because they've changed the name to Meta. But yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about then. So anyway, yeah, why? And it's okay to be skeptical. If you are skeptical about all of this, that's totally okay. You have to go through this at your own pace. Ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. I think we think that often, but we're all learning this. And really, at the moment, all of this is like the Wild West. It's like the beginnings of the internet or the beginnings of social. And that's one reason why I think I'm quite excited about this, because I remember when social media started to be a thing, and I was really excited about it. And all those opportunities that came by. I think there are lots of opportunities for us with Web 3.0, but it is like the Wild West. It's like beware of the dragons. It's kind of like really weird and scary, and like a lot of us don't have a clue what's happening. You do have to be careful with all of these new technologies. Because it is new, you just, particularly when it comes to money side of things, we're talking about like investment sometimes. So you just obviously need to be careful about that. And I'm not a financial advisor, obviously. You're not too late. So some of you might think, well, okay, I know everyone's been talking about it, but maybe I'm just too late for it. Well, you're absolutely not. We're still at the start of all of this. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be this guy here who wrote an article in a newspaper and said that the internet may just be a passing fad. So, like, if you were in the 1990s, you might have thought that the internet was just like, this internet thing isn't going to catch on. Well, it could well be the same with Web 3.0. In fact, I think it is. It's inevitable. This change is inevitable. So don't be that guy. But not everyone needs to be there first. So if you're finding all of this overwhelming, that's okay. You don't need to be there. I feel I need to be in there because I teach people, and I need to understand this. And it's kind of part of the way I am. So it is complicated. There's lots of jargon, as I was saying earlier. So it's kind of a bit annoying. But what I found is that the people who are delving into all of this are really super helpful. I've joined quite a few communities and I've asked really stupid questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. But people have been really gracious with me and kind and patient, and because they understand that they were there at my stage as well. So don't get too stressed about that. But there are a lot of things to understand. And so, yeah, if there's anything that you don't understand today, then let me know. Carl Sullivan didn't notice any difference in the voice. Oh no, is that not come through? Or are you just messing with me, Carl? Let me know. Have you, if you're watching live, let me know if you're remaining with me with all of this, and that it all makes sense. But let's delve into the next thing, which is, what are some of the things that we need to know? And so these are, okay, warning. These are some of the jargon words, because these are. So, let's get on with them. So these are some of the phrases and words that we might need to kind of learn and understand. The first thing are ledgers, and this is like in the real world. If you are in the financial world, you probably already know what this is, but I had to look it up. We need to understand a little bit of the history of money. We need to understand what the blockchain is. What on earth is the proof of work? Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum. That should say Ethereum on the screen. This is Keynote trying to change the spelling. Ethereum. We've got dApps. These are decentralized apps. Smart contracts, NFTs, DAOs. I'm not going to talk about DAOs today. And then the Metaverse. Okay. Let's talk about the history of money. Okay, so I'm going to do this very, very briefly, but thousands of years ago, we didn't have like actual money. So if I wanted to buy your camel, we needed to do an exchange. So I needed to kind of ask you, well, what do you want of mine? And you might like, well, can I have your cow, please? And then we have to think, well, is that a fair exchange? Okay, I'm happy with that. So you have my cow and I'll have your camel. That's cool. But the problem with that was a number of things. First of all, like that was okay within our local community because we would hopefully trust each other, and we could see the commodities that we were exchanging. But the main problem with that is, well, what if I wanted to buy your camel, but you didn't want to buy my cow, but that was the only thing that I had. So that just wasn't particularly kind of like, as our society developed, that wasn't particularly helpful. So that's why coins were developed, gold and silver coins, because these were precious metals. So coins were created, and say I gave you 10 gold coins for your camel, you could then use those 10 gold coins to exchange with somebody else, because those coins were themselves precious, and it was a great way of exchanging goods. Then we went on to paper money. So this is when banks started to become a thing and governments grew up. And instead of having to worry about the actual coins, the value of the coins itself, the paper money itself was just the government saying, we promise to pay you this amount of money. So it's based on trust. I'm probably not explaining that terribly well, because this is where my brain starts to go a little bit mushy. But that's what paper money was. And these days we're kind of in number 4, which is digital money. So often, like, we don't actually use cash anymore, paper money or coins. It's all stored entries on a database. So I send money to, eBay or Amazon, and that's taken out of my account, and it then appears in Amazon's account, and it's all kind of done electronically. Now, we're now moving into stage 5, which is using cryptocurrency. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but this is all decentralized. It means that it's not all doesn't have to be stored in a bank. We don't have to use banks. I can send some money from myself to you, and it's all connected. We don't have to trust the system, because as long as you give me your digital ID, I can send that direct to you. We don't have to use any middlemen or any banks or anything like that. So that is the history of money. And you might be thinking, well, why on earth do you understand? Why on earth do we need to know that? Well, I think we need to understand that before we then get onto the next stage. Hillary is here. Great to see you, Hillary. Watching on LinkedIn. I think I follow to an extent. I'm trying my best, Hillary. It's really hard. Promissory notes. That's checks. Yeah. If you actually look at, if you get a note out, like a £5 note or $1 bill, and have a look at it, and it says, I promise to pay the bearer. I don't actually have any cash on me, but it's not, the actual paper itself is not really worth very much at all. So it's down to that. Okay, so let's get on to the next bit, which is, hold on a minute. What's happened there? I've just messed up the screen. That's no good. Okay, so let's get on to ledgers. Let's understand it. So this, I've got a picture on the screen of a very, very old book. It's a ledger. And the way this works is, say, for example, I build a house. Okay, and in the ledger, it says this house was built in 1960. And it's sold, the next line, it's sold to Mr. and Mrs. Smith for £10,000. And then 5 years later, I then put in the ledger, it was sold to Mr. and Mrs. Anderson. And each time we're adding these details to the ledger. We're not changing anything before, but we're adding bits to the ledger as we go along. That is what a ledger is, and I had to look this up. So it's chronological, and the important thing is that we keep adding to it. We're adding data as we go along, but nothing in the past changes. So I don't go back to the past and then cross out and change things. Everything, we're just adding little bits. So for example, it could be, I have £1,000 in my bank account. But now I have £500 in my bank account because I've just bought something on Amazon for £500. We're not going back and changing that initial thing. It says I have £1,000, then £500 has gone out to Amazon, and so I've now got £500. So nothing has changed in the past. That's really, really important. So that's what is going to help us understand what blockchain is. And it took me a while to understand a little bit more about blockchain. I'm not an expert at all on this, but blockchain is basically like a digital ledger. It's a digital ledger that is stored, well, we'll go on to that, but it's stored on lots and lots of different computers. It's decentralized. So it's not stored in a bank somewhere. You could, if you wanted, download the digital ledger, the blockchain. There are many, many, many copies of this. And that's important because that is part of the security of it. Because if I change the ledger on my version of the blockchain, that's not going to match up with everyone else's version. And there's going to be like a security alert on that one. So you can store copies of yourself. If you want to get into crypto mining, you can do this if you want, but that's really important. And it's almost impossible to cheat the system because each block on the blockchain contains some data. And it could be, for example, how much money you have in your Bitcoin account, or when a house was built or when it was sold, or it could be anything. It could be any form of data. So each block itself contains some stuff, some information. It also has a unique fingerprint that identifies it, and all blocks are different. Each block has to have its own unique identifier. This is called a hash, another kind of scary word. But the important thing here is it also has the fingerprint or the hash of the previous block. So that means if I go in and change my data, then the hash changes, and it means that all the other blocks in front of it are going to be changed and different and incorrect. And so again, it basically means that we can't change any of the blocks in the past. Everything has to stay the same. We're adding to it, and we're adding to it each time. So that is what the blockchain is. The important thing here is also to realize there is not one blockchain. Blockchain is a technology that we can use. So with cryptocurrency uses blockchain technology. So for example, Bitcoin uses blockchain. Another cryptocurrency called Ethereum or Ether uses another blockchain. They're all different, but they all use the blockchain technology. So it cuts out that middleman. So for example, if if I want to sell you this phone, I could go on eBay. And the reason I go on eBay is because I don't necessarily know you. So I want to have the security of eBay to be able to take care of the payment side of things and the trust side of things as well. So I put it on eBay, but eBay takes a cut. It might take, I don't know, is it 2.5% or whatever? With cryptocurrency, as long as I have your information, your Bitcoin address or whatever it is, we can like trust each other, and I can send that information to you, and you have proof that you own this, or I have this proof that I own this this phone, and it cuts out the need of a middleman. It cuts out the need of eBay. So this is like a huge thing. It's secure and it's trustworthy as well. Okay. So before we get onto Ethereum, I'm just going to check whether there are any questions here. So Katie says, and this is a really important thing to say, Katie. It says, so cryptocurrency sounds a bit worrying. If your government doesn't like you, they could take away all your money. I might buy some gold and hide it in the garden. Yeah, so cryptocurrency is like the governments of the world are looking at cryptocurrency, and it is something that they're kind of having to look at and think about. Now, with cryptocurrency, the important thing here is actually it's technically more secure than storing money in a bank, because you own that. You know, it's actually, as long as you are secure, you actually have that. You can store that money on your digital wallet, and it's almost more secure than hiding your money in the garden. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, there's this big thing about decentralization. It's almost like anti-government. I'm not going to get all political now. I'm less interested in that side of things, but I am interested in the potential of cryptocurrency and Web 3.0 and how it can help us. So yeah, and thank you, Katie. You're saying you're explaining this really well. Fascinating. I'm glad I'm doing okay. Okay, so and by the way, I'm moving through this really quickly. So we've all probably heard of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's based on the blockchain. I'm not going to go into all the ins and outs of it because it's quite complicated, maybe another time. But all that you need to know is there are lots of different types of cryptocurrency. Another one, and this is probably one of the most important parts of Web 3.0, is not actually Bitcoin that's the most important. It's Ethereum. Now, I don't know whether you've heard of Ethereum, but Ethereum is really important. And Ethereum is not actually the cryptocurrency. So Bitcoin, the equivalent of Bitcoin here is called the Ether. So you can have I could have 5 Bitcoin, or I have 5 ETHs or Ethers. So it uses cryptocurrency called Ether. Now, Ethereum is like a game changer when it comes to the whole Web 3.0 thing. Think of like with Bitcoin, the value, if you have 5 Bitcoin, then the value that you've got is just 5 Bitcoin. Whereas with Ethereum, the value is actually what is kind of stored in the blockchain itself, in each block. Because it's not just the value of the currency, it's other really cool stuff that you can do. And this is, if you kind of start to understand this is where you will see the potential of Web 3.0. Because Ethereum is built with, on the blockchain, but with the idea of smart contracts. So within each block, you have this like series of if-then statements that can do certain cool things. So I'll give you an example of this. For example, and this is when we get on to talking about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, you'll understand this. But for example, I could have a block on there that will do things automatically. For example, it could be if I am sent 1 ETH or 1 Ethereum, or what was it called? Yeah, 1 Ether. I get confused. Then I can then it will automatically send you access to a course, and that will give you access to the course for 5 years. Or it could be you're a musician, and when you send me some money, I will automatically give you access to my back catalogue for the next, forever. You have access to that. But the cool thing here is with smart contracts is that if you then sell that on, then if you've built this into the smart contract, I can get a cut as the original seller. So this is where it gets really confusing. Think about this phone again. I'm going on to eBay. I'm selling it for £500. That's a really amazing deal. Okay, I sell it on eBay. You buy it. Now, maybe a year later, you sell that on. You sell it for £400. So you're getting that £400, but I'm not getting anything. With smart contracts, what I can do here is I can sell you access to my entire back catalogue. And I get £500 for that. But then you sell that on later on for £1,000, and I get a 10% cut on that. So I get I get £100, and then I get £100 from the next person or whatever, and it goes on and on and on and on. So you can build in these smart contracts, and it means that you get paid automatically. So we don't have to worry about any trust or anything. If you sell it on to another person, that money, that 10% will automatically go to my account. So that's what a smart contract is. And these are built with what are called dApps. These are decentralized applications. So they're just kind of like software, but they're kind of all decentralized. So there's not stored on one particular server, which is pretty cool. So this is complicated stuff, but I hope you kind of like understand this. The question you might be thinking is, well, why? Well, hopefully I've given you some real live, really good examples there of how you could build a community of people, and you giving access, say, to your courses, but then they could, or it could be to like an event, and you're giving access for the next, say, 5 years, but those people can sell it on, and you can continue to get money even after that first sale. So I hope that kind of makes sense. I think I need to have a bit of a break because that is a bit complicated. So if you are watching live, let me know if any of that makes sense, whether I'm doing a good job of explaining it, because I think once you hopefully can see why I think it's important to understand the history of money, to understand the concept of the ledger, and then to understand blockchain, not the like complete ins and outs of what blockchain is, but then to understand the cryptocurrency and how that fits into the scheme of things. Bitcoin, but then moving on to Ethereum and smart contracts and why that's really important. Now, what I do want to say here is, if you don't understand this, if this is going over the top of your head, like, don't panic, don't worry. It will make sense. It's one of those things you have to kind of keep coming back to, and eventually, hopefully, you'll understand and you'll see what the potential is. But the potentials for business are really cool. We're at the start of this, and so the problem we've got at the moment is that the general public are probably not going to understand a lot of this. So things like NFTs, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Like, what on earth is that? Or what's cryptocurrency? Like, they're not going to understand that. But what I think is going to happen over the next 2 or 3 years is, like, the names of these things will change, and it will kind of be under the hood, under the bonnet. And people might be exchanging goods using these technologies, but they might not even know that they are using this technology. They might be using NFTs, which I'm going to talk about next, but they might not actually know that that is what it is. And I think that's where we're going. You don't have to understand all of this, but hopefully I'm making some sense here, because, yeah, that would be good. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. So we talked about Ethereum, NFTs. Right, so I'm going to be honest with you. NFT stands for non-fungible tokens. I mean, what a stupid phrase. I mean, you couldn't get more complicated if you tried. Like, I'd never heard of the word fungible. What is non-fungible? What is a token? I mean, so a lot of people think that NFTs, non-fungible tokens, are to do with like ridiculously priced digital art. So you might, I mean, I've seen this on the internet that, you know, people are buying like a picture of a cat for like $10,000. You think like, and it's digital. It's a digital piece of art. If you think that is what an NFT is, you're not alone. But it absolutely is not what an NFT. Well, it kind of is what an NFT is, but it is much, much more than that. And I think I originally, this is why I thought NFTs was a little bit like the Emperor's new clothes. It's like all these people buying these like digital pieces of art. Do you not realize this is a complete scam? Like, why are you doing this? It's a complete scam. Like, stop doing it. But NFTs are kind of like powered by these smart contracts that we were talking about before. Let's just explain what non-fungible token means. So fungible means, or non-fungible means unique. If you're fungible, you're not unique. Non-fungible, you are unique. So as human beings, as individuals, we are all non-fungible. There's no one that's quite like you. Money, however, is fungible. So as a really good example, I think this was on Michael Stelzner's podcast, who explaining it this way. For example, I have, let's say I have £50. I have 10 £5 notes in my wallet, and you come to me and say, could I borrow £5? So I open up my wallet and I say to you, yeah, of course you can. Which £5 note would you like? I would never do that, because like they're all the same. Every single £5 note is exactly the same. So it doesn't matter which one you take, they're all going to be £5. And it's the same, for example, with Bitcoin. Like if you say, can you send me one Bitcoin, please? Which one Bitcoin is a lot of money at the moment. Is it like £20,000 or dollars? I don't know. But let's say, so I'm not going to ask you, well, which one of my Bitcoins do you want? It doesn't matter, because they're all fungible. But non-fungible, a non-fungible example, like where it could be, for example, you're going to the cinema, you're booking tickets tomorrow to see, I don't know what, I can't think of a movie at the moment, Spider-Man or whatever, and you booked 4 tickets at tomorrow's showing at 8 p.m. of Spider-Man at your local cinema. Those 4 seats are non-fungible. Those tickets that you have will not work for any other event. That is unique. That is unique for that particular showing of Spider-Man tomorrow at 8 p.m. NFTs are not just art. What NFTs are, it's basically stuff stored on the blockchain. So it could be, for example, access to a complete back catalogue of an artist, or it could be access to a course that you've designed, or your whole of your courses, or to your community, or access to the next 5 years of your events. And it's all stored on that block on the blockchain. Now, so that in a sense is what the NFT is. But in order to unlock that stuff on that block, so that you can gain access to the to that. So, for example, it could be you get a discount on an event coming up, 50% off for the next 5 years. In order to get access to that, you need a key. And that is where the digital art often comes into it. So it's kind of a proof that you own that NFT, that this non-fungible token. And so when people are buying pictures of cats and stuff, they're usually not just buying it for the art, they're buying it because there's something else in there. They're buying access to something. But of course, you could then wait and for example, that might become more and more valuable. So you can then sell it on and make some money. But that original person is going to make some money as well. So Michael Stelzner, Social Media Marketing World, has given everyone who went to the recent Social Media Marketing World a free NFT. So we get that for free. That's all great. I could, if I wanted, sell that on and I could make some money. But Social Media Marketing World would make a cut on that as well. And then keep some, if they then sell it on, you can do it that way. So there's loads of cool things that you can do there. So NFTs are not just art. They are basically just unique data on the blockchain. So I hope that kind of makes sense. Now, the final thing that I'll just briefly talk about are social tokens. So this is something completely different. This is kind of like, it's a bit like its own cryptocurrency. Now, these are not unique. These are not non-fungible. They are fungible. So, but they're also known as creator coins. So, are you with me? Are you with me on this one? So let's look at some creator coins. So these are basically, it's like Bitcoin, but you are investing in a creator. So there might be somebody out there, could be me, for example. You might really like the stuff that I create and you want to invest in, you want to kind of like donate or pay to be part of my community. Now I could use a service like Patreon. So Patreon, I could say, well, you pay me like $1 a month or $5 per month, and you get this amount of access to my community. You get access to my courses and stuff like that. With creator coins, we're using cryptocurrency, and you can have your own cryptocurrency here. So the really good example here is a service called rally.io, and there's quite a few creators on there who have created their own coins. So you can see we've got the Mega coin and the Ali coin here. If we go down to all creators here, these are, because the top one at the moment is the Gary coin, that's Gary Henderson. Then we've got the Tilt coin, Joe Polizzi, who is a great guy. And then further down, we've got Rise, which is Mark Schaefer's coin. And I own some Rise coins because I love Mark Schaefer. I love all the stuff that he does. We've got Anne Handley as well with the Word coin as well. So if I click on, so for example, if I click on Joe's coin here, what I can now see is I can see that if I own some Tilt coin, then I will automatically get access to his community, which is on Discord, which is a social, kind of like a social media platform, like a forum. But I get, if I pay a little bit more, I get access to like a giveaway. If I have five Tilt coin, I get exclusive content creation each month. If I have 20, I get this. So it's a way of kind of like, it's almost like gamification of your community, and you're getting people to help invest, and you are actually, each time you will get some extra money coming into your Rally account as well. And of course you can withdraw that, and you can convert it into Rally and convert it into Ethereum and Bitcoin, and it's all pretty cool. So I think I'm done. I think I'm done explaining everything there. What I haven't explained is I haven't gone on to the Metaverse. We're talking about that on Thursday. I've not really talked about the ins and outs of Bitcoin or anything like that. What I would recommend that you do is just to start to do your own research. There are some great videos on YouTube. In fact, what I'll do is I'll link to them below, and I'll link to this in the article when this podcast is out. So if you go to iag.me/165, you'll find out all that information about all of that, and join some Discord communities. So if you've found this helpful, the communities I recommend are, there's the ADHD community. This is it's not necessarily to do with ADHD, but this is Brian Fanzo's community is great, and he's really explaining it well. There's also Mark Schaefer's Rise community as well. So go to Mark Schaefer's website, which is businessesgrow.com, and you can find out a little bit more about that. But I hope I've not overwhelmed you. Well, I probably have, but I've tried to give you like a very brief overview of everything. But you don't need to understand all of this. You might be thinking, well, do I need to understand this now? Absolutely not. But if you do want to get in there before the big, before everything changes, then it might be good to get in there now and understand it. But let me know how I can help and support you. But that is it for this week, unless there are any other questions. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, remember, we're back on Thursday if you're watching live with Mitch Jackson on the show. That'll be next Friday. And next week, just to let you know, if you're watching, I'm just taking the week off, but I will be back after that. But that is it for this week. And until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of Confident Live Video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Make sure you subscribe at iag.me/podcast so you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video.
And until next time,
Toodaloo.